about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics. Alright, YouTube, it is your boy Charles, and today we're going to be talking about Sam and Twitch Case Files number 13 from Image Comics. It is part of the Spawn universe. But what we're going to talk today about is not so much the writing, but the art and how the art helps tell the story and set it apart from the rest of the Spawn universe. And one word that comes to mind when we're talking about the art in here, at least for me, is dingy. And when I say dingy, I mean that in the best ways. If you follow along with these Spawn books, they all have their own aesthetic. Deadly Toes, a gunslinger Spawn, is set in 1800s in the Old West. And so it has that dirty western desert feel. Rat City is set in the future in New York City. And so it's very slick, it's very sleek. And throughout all of the Spawn universe, there is this theme of dark red and shadows and gore that, like I said, is throughout this universe, but not so much in this book. And always in every review I said this is kind of a hard scrabble, hard-boiled detective story. And I've tried to find a way to talk about that and tried to find that thing that I'm saying, but I couldn't quite put words to. And then you open up this book here and you notice that there is no red, no brightness. Everything is a very dingy, almost pea green. And you turn the page here, we have a very, very light brown, almost coffee stain look here in this panel. And we have a dingy yellow here and these other panels. And everything is dingy and dirty and has kind of that oppressive feel that you would get in a public place like an old underfunded police station. Or, not that I have a lot of experience, just my only experience inside of a jail cell was I forgot to go to court over a parking ticket. So I did about an hour and a half in lockup. It wasn't lockup. It was a holding cell, but that's what this reminds me of, is that nightmarish hour and a half in a holding cell for a parking ticket. I know I'm a hardened criminal over here. But this book and this series in general really captures that feeling of that dingy municipal, beat down aesthetic. And it makes sense because that is who Sam and Twitch are in the Spawn universe, where everything else is fantastical and you're dealing with spawns and angels and demons. Sam and Twitch, they are just normal dudes telling the story of what's going on through their eyes, through their non-supernatural mindset, and having to reckon with that. And I think that this series does a great job. I think it's intentional. Where we're at in the story right now is this is the second arc of this particular run. Twitch ended up chasing a junkie down an alley. The guy took a hostage, and Twitch fired to injure him, but he ended up dying. And from what I remember about the first issue of this arc is there was a second gunman. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not going to go dig up the old book and find out. But, yeah, Twitch is a crack shot, and so I am convinced that he missed, but regardless, he is on the hook for the murder of a guy who was running away. And he knows he didn't shoot him. His partner Sam knows he didn't shoot him. But the brass is really coming down hard on him. And when the coroner did the autopsy, they found out that he had been dead for 3 days before Twitch shot him. And they've discovered that there is this drug that kind of puts people in a manic zombie state. And there's something going on here, and they're just now unraveling the strings of it. And this issue really goes into Twitch's psyche of doubting himself, flashes between his home life and the pressure of that with his job. And there's one scene where he goes with Sam just to get out of the house because he's put on leave. And he's, kind of been sidelined, but he's just sitting in the car when Sam goes in to question some people. And you see his son in the back seat with him for one panel. And his son is accusing him of being a murderer right here. And in the next panel, he's saying, "You're not real, you're not real." And you see that is a hallucination, that the pressure of his home life, his job life, everything else has caused him to have these waking nightmares of worst case scenarios. And I think, it goes through not only, them trying to catch these guys who are dealing and using this zombie drug, to the monotony of dealing with internal affairs and family life and self-doubt. And so I think even if you're not a fan of the Spawn universe, if you are a fan of classic 80s police procedurals, 90s police procedurals, this is a book for you. And if you're a fan of the Spawn universe and you haven't tried this, Todd McFarlane is still very much involved with this series. He actually provided the additional script for this, and so you're still getting that continuity throughout, even though it's through the eyes of Sam and Twitch. So that's my thoughts on this book. Check it out at your local comic book store. If you're in Wyoming, no place better than Spellbound Apothecary and Entertainment in the Eastridge Mall. You're going to find it right in between the Best Buy and Target, directly across from Hot Topic. And they ship in Wyoming for free for $35 or more. And if you're not in Wyoming, but you still want to get a good deal on shipping and selection, check out my friend Jeff over at Coffee and a Comic. They give you coffee with every order. So I'll see you guys next time. Until then, keep reading them books. You know I will. I'm out.